Good afternoon. Today's question comes to us from Sarah Gift, and Sarah asks, how do you balance a life in service to God and others while still keeping your own cup full and not burning out? Is there a magic formula for the correct balance? Admittedly, this is something that I have wrestled with, and I don't know that I necessarily get this perfect, but I'll tell you some things that have worked for me and have worked for me in my role as a pastor and worked for me in my role as a father. And maybe this will apply to some of your areas of service, Sarah. But there are a few things that I have found helpful that really took me a long time to learn. So when I was new in ministry, when I was a new pastor, one of the things that I really wrestled with was trying to meet up to everybody's expectations. I felt like everybody had all sorts of expectations for what the pastor should do or what the pastor shouldn't do, and I was trying to live up to all those expectations. And I think one of those things that I thought was an expectation was that people thought I was available 24/7. Now, there certainly are people that do think that, but thankfully, most people are pretty reasonable and don't think that. Most people are pretty respectful if they find out that you have a day off that you take or certain things that you're doing with your family. They usually give you the peace to be able to do those things and rest up. Some people aren't so great about that, but that's a minority. Most people are pretty respectful of that. And it was helpful to me to realize that my expectations of myself were not really lining up with what people actually expected of me. I was expecting some things of myself that were unreasonable. Something else that helped me was realizing that if I did not schedule breaks, whether that be in my yearly calendar or in my weekly calendar, those things didn't happen. But if I got things on the calendar, they actually happened. So I started getting a little bit better at scheduling time for rest. Now, the way that looks on a weekly basis is I tend to take Mondays off, and I also try to take Saturdays off if I can. Sometimes there are events going on or weddings or things like that, so I might get a partial Saturday. But I tend to take Mondays off to just kind of focus on resting up. I do yard work around my house, things like that. Saturdays I've historically taken off because it's a good opportunity usually to be able to get together with our family and do some things together. And then on a weekly basis, for the longest time, especially when our kids were younger, it's different now that some of them are in college and they're older. But for the longest time, we scheduled Monday night as a family night where we would go out to eat and we'd enjoy some food out at a restaurant, and that was fun. And then Friday nights, and I still very much keep with this, and I actually think maybe on an upcoming video, I'll take you on a tour of what we do on Friday night. But on Friday night, my wife and I try to carve that time out just as a date night. And so we go out to eat, we have an enjoyable time together, and it's just a few hours that we carve out for each other. We both find it very restful, and it's actually very helpful for our marriage as well. On a quarterly basis, we take family vacations, and we don't do super extensive things for our vacations. What we've discovered is that most of us really just prefer just staying in a cabin for a few days or for a week, however much time we have. And so 4 times throughout the course of the year, we basically do that. We'll rent a cabin somewhere and we'll stay there and enjoy time together as a family. Although right after Christmas, we don't rent a cabin then. What we actually do then is we take a tour where we visit a variety of family members. We'll go and visit some of my family up in Northeast PA, some of my wife's family up in the Buffalo, New York area. Then we'll go and visit her sister down in the Pittsburgh area, and then we'll make our way back home. And that's a lot of fun. That's how we finish out the year and kind of start off the new year. But then each quarter, we take some vacation time. In fact, even as I'm recording this, just 2 days ago, we returned from a cabin that we rented, and we had a lovely time. It was just very restful, very enjoyable, and very simple. And all of us seem to really enjoy it. Something else that I find really helpful is the diet that I'm feeding my heart and my mind. I actually find that it helps me find rest if I'm actually feeding my heart and my mind healthy things. So the scriptures, things that encourage me, things that I find uplifting or helpful. And so I try and be very cautious about what I allow to influence me, what I allow to take up space in my mind, and what kind of diet I'm actually feeding into my thinking. Another way I try to find rest is by keeping my interests varied. So obviously, I have a lot of things that I do that are directly related to my role as the pastor of a local church, but I also tend to find a lot of joy in mowing my lawn and taking care of just the landscaping around our house. I have a whole bunch of other projects as well, web development, podcasting, different things that I think I'd put in the context of just being entrepreneurial. Now I've been lately as a project been trying to invest more time into YouTube. And so these are things that I find very helpful when I'm trying to just kind of balance my thinking out, just having a variety of interests, a variety of projects that I'm working on. And that does, in a strange way, help me to find rest. So, Sarah, I hope some of those suggestions were helpful to you in your role of service. Maybe there's something that I'm doing here that could be a useful thing to apply to your day-to-day life. Thanks again for the question. And if you're watching this video and you have a question that you'd like to submit about life or ministry or scripture or God or anything of that nature, be sure to leave that in the comments. I review the comments looking for additional questions, and maybe I'll answer your question on an upcoming video. And if you haven't already done so, please take a moment to like this video and subscribe to the channel. That would be immensely helpful. But in the meantime, thanks again for watching. We'll catch you again next time. You know, just for fun, I thought I'd take you on a little tour of the outside of our church. On yesterday's video, I took some video inside, and so maybe I'll just take you on a quick tour outside. It's a beautiful day. Look at how the sky is just the deepest blue. It's perfect. I love when the sky looks like that. But here's our church building here. There's our playground. I'll take you around to the front. We're actually on a relatively busy road, which I think is a good thing. By the way, there's a neighborhood back here, a whole bunch of homes right back there. This is Route 413 here in Langhorne, Pennsylvania. So if you're ever in the area, be sure to stop by. There's another view of our playground. Now, across the street from the church, I don't think you'll really be able to see it in this video because the trees are in the way, but across the street here is actually a large hospital. And alongside, here's the front of the building. And alongside the church here, we actually have a rehab center that the hospital just built. So it's on the other side of these trees. So if you're ever in Langhorne, Pennsylvania, be sure to stop by. We'd be happy to see you. Maybe you could be one of these cars traveling down our road. Here's where you pull in. All right, catch you next time.